Patience is a virtue, one that few can truly afford. Tell me, if you were standing in a windy field, staring down some huge ungodly tentacle, a woman who's definitely gonna crush your skull with an oversized jug, and a fox girl who's definitely gonna steal your soul the moment you let your guard down, could you have the patience to wait for the perfect moment to strike? Because I don't have a chi! Fuck! Yasuo is one of the most popular characters in League of Legends. The Wandering Samurai has made a name for himself by being annoying, and that one guy that nobody wants on either of their teams. Apparently, I don't play League of Legends. But in 2xKO, he's the talk of the town. Sure, Darius and Alawi are over there causing you to die because you decide to block in the corner. Echo and Ari are mixing your shit and doing flashy touch of deaths. And Brom's over there showing everyone just where the gaps in their strings are. But what's Yasuo doing? Being fucking cool. But what makes him so cool? Are you blind? Have you been living under a rock? Okay then, well, let's talk about Yasuo. Yasuo has a lot of moves at his disposal, but let's look at the most important ones that you'll be using. By pressing down and special, you'll enter your calm stance. This stance is vital to every part of Yasuo's game plan, from his combos to his pressure. Yasuo is able to enter calm stance from most attacks while he's grounded, and you can use it after some of his air tools to guarantee combos once he lands. In most of his optimal-ish combos, you'll be entering this stance a lot for damage and movement purposes. You can exit calm stance at any time by pressing down an S1 again. While this does look like it could lead to stance cancel shenanigans, unfortunately exiting the stance takes around 12 frames, meaning you're not going to be able to get any plus frames from moves that would be negative. You can, however, make some moves that would get you punished safe on block. So how about we start with the most basic move that you have in this stance. By pressing light, you get Stomp, a safe on block low attack that can hit opponents on the ground. This move is unassuming, but can be extremely powerful in the correct context. Despite being the shortest move in calm stance, you can use this to catch people out when they'd expect you to go for more committal options, which, since it's Yasuo, he likes to do a lot of committal stuff, as well as it leaving you safe on block. This isn't the only thing it's useful for though. Using it at the end of some combos allows you to connect into your S1 super, as well as your level 2, where normally you wouldn't be able to. You can also use it to cause your opponent to air tech instead of ground tech, allowing for you to mix them up if you call out which way they tech, along with stopping them from using their get-up attack. It's a very powerful tool when you use it on the offense. However, due to its short range, it can whiff pretty easily if your opponent uses retreating guard or even just steps back in some cases. In fact, some block strings simply don't allow you to end with Stomp due to how far you push the opponent. By pressing medium, you get Lashing Wind, a mid-hitting upward strike. This attack hits very high up, but makes up for that by being the fastest move in calm stance. Being 7 frames startup, Lashing Wind can catch opponents out quickly at slightly further ranges than Stomp. Also, with it being an upwards hitbox, you're able to anti-air with the attack. Granted, this isn't ideal, as you have to be in calm stance to get the anti-air ready, so it's really hard to do this on reaction. You'll mostly be using this as a combo extending tool. Since the attack launches the opponent in a predictable arc, you'll be able to link this into other attacks reliably. In fact, you can even link this attack into itself in the correct context, which looks very funny. There is one major downside to this attack though, and it's the fact that it completely whiffs on crouching opponents. This means you cannot use it as a reliable launcher unless you use a move that forces your opponent to stand right before it. The only tool in Yasuo's kit that I found that does this is 2H, but I'm sure that there are others that I missed because I am, in fact, a dumbass. By pressing heavy, you get Severe Wind, a large horizontal slash that goes across 80% of the screen. This is a very committal poking tool that allows for Yasuo to pressure his opponent from very far away. The downside of this is that the startup and recovery of it is extremely long, so if you whiff, you're kind of fucked. But also, how are you whiffing this thing? You can also press 2H to get Severe Cloud, an upward slash version of the move. This is a very committal anti-air tool, but causes a wall bounce on a successful hit, leading to bigger combos. You'll generally end up using this after a successful Lashing Wind, or if you're baller and call them out. If only it wasn't air blockable. By pressing S1, you get Zephyr Step, a dash that allows Yasuo to pass through the opponent. This is a cross-up tool, but it can leave Yasuo vulnerable unless you cover it with an assist or use it in a setup. You can cancel into Calm Step after using it, though there is a slight delay. By pressing S2, you get Updraft, a small hop that causes Yasuo to become airborne. This is a great tool to use in order to mix up the opponent. Since Yasuo has no standing overhead, you can use this to get an aerial move on a crouching opponent. If they respect it though, you could just land and do a low, however this obviously requires some conditioning. Finally, by pressing backwards or forwards, you get Tailwind or Headwind, a small backstep or a far-reaching dash. You can actually augment certain attacks with Tailwind if you press back before the attack, which can be useful, but normally it causes me to whiff whatever I was trying to do. What can I say, my hands are made of fucking spaghetti apparently. Headwind doesn't naturally cross through the opponent. However, if you OTG with a stomp, you can use it to cross under the opponent. Not to mention you can cancel the move into specific attacks or back into Calm Stance. A very good movement tool that allows for cool setups and combos. This stance is Yasuo's most important tool in his kit, and you'll be using it a lot for different reasons. You'll be using it in combo fillers, for long-range post attacks, for your mix-ups, and for your strongest movement abilities. So being able to get into this stance consistently is extremely important. Being able to cancel into the stance from nearly everything and then continue your pressure is also extremely important for Yasuo. I didn't think these stance cancels were too important when I first played him, but yeah, no, it's basically the whole character. It's extremely sick, but kind of hard. If you don't want to use Calm Stance, there's a couple of other tools that you can use. By pressing S1 with Outer Direction, you get Steel Tempest, a large hitting sword swap. This is a great poking tool if your opponent consistently approaches from the ground. However, it is extremely committal. You can cancel this into Calm Stance on a successful hit though. By pressing forward in S1, you get Sweeping Blade, the beginning of his Rekka sequence. By pressing forward in S1 again, you get another slash, ending with a cross-through slice that knocks down the opponent. By pressing S2, you get an upward slice that causes the opponent to be launched in the air on a successful hit. This Rekka is very fast, however it leaves Yasuo vulnerable unless you cover it on all of the hits. You can cancel part of the recovery of the first Rekka into Calm Stance if you want to make it safer, however it is still a very committal option. If you hold down the attack, you get a strong, fast-moving forward slice that causes Yasuo to cross through the opponent. And yes, you can cancel this into Calm Stance. By pressing S2 with Outer Direction, a small projectile that hits around half screen. This projectile on its own is not very useful. You can use it to catch out unaware opponents, however you'll mostly be using this for extending combos, as it causes the opponent to bounce directly upwards. By pressing 4S2, you get Wind Wall. This is an object that destroys all projectiles that pass through it. The effectiveness of this obviously differs from matchup to matchup. However, this move has an added effect. If you use certain other special moves through the wind wall, their properties are enhanced. Using Steel Tempest causes the attack to now go full screen, and using Turbulent Wind will create a tornado. These are obviously useful for different reasons, with the tornado giving you a lot of plus frames, but being kind of funky to set up in a real match. Finally, by pressing S1 while in the air, you get Gale Blade, a horizontal slash that sends Yasuo forward. You can do 2 of these in a row, as well as being able to press S2 to get a downward slice that causes the opponent to hit the floor. If you hold S1, you get a downwards horizontal slice that causes Yasuo to plummet to the floor. This is extremely useful for combos, as you're instantly able to go into the Calm Stance once you land. And that's all of Yasuo's special moves. Holy crap. As you probably figured out, the Calm Stance is an extremely important part of his game plan. His Wave Dash isn't bad, in fact it's completely middle of the pack for the Alpha Lab, however the speed he gets from Headwind as well as being able to cancel it into Calm Stance for even more movement and mix-up opportunities is absolutely insane. Hell, if you go from Headwind into Zephyr Step, you go full screen in a matter of seconds. Cover that with an assist and you've got yourself an easy way to get in from full screen. Yasuo is a very well-rounded character, and he has tools that seemingly work in every single situation because they hit every angle of the screen, as well as getting large damaging combos off of them. The only real downside to him is that these tools are extremely committal. Obviously, his large screen sweeping slices have a lot of recovery, but the main part of it is if he whiffs, he doesn't gain access to arguably his most powerful tool, the Calm Stance cancel. Most of Yasuo's tools allow him to cancel into Calm Stance at some point, and from this stance he gains access to his best movement options, as well as his best mix-up tools. However, if he whiffs, he is left a sitting duck and some of these moves have absolutely insane recovery times. For example, Severe Wind and Severe Cloud have 56 frames of recovery, nearly a full second. If you call out that your opponent is going to approach from the ground and they jump, you're kind of fucked. He requires patience and understanding of how your opponent plays the game, because if you have neither of these, you're kind of fucked. Also, his combos are pretty hard. Like, I've never played a proper stance character before. Closest I've gotten is Strive Johnny. So having to consistently cancel into stance, do a move, and then either cancel into another move or back into the stance is hard, to say the least. But hey, I have a cool combo that I learned. It took me like 2 hours to get it down. Now all I have to do is land it in a real match. You fool! While you were out playing the game with other people having a good time, I was studying the blade. It's time for you to die! Ha! Oh, you have got to be fucked. Thank you all for watching. Subscribe for more 2xGo content. If you're at Versus Fighting, come say hi. I'm there right now. I'll probably be doing like a little weird dance or something. That's generally what I end up doing. Thank you all for watching. I'll see you all next week. As always, a very special thanks to 64 MHz, Almost Nap Time, Axolotl, Syndicate, Daniel Wiedericht, Edison Lottery, Fexo, Games.png, Haywire Novalee, Hoffmeister Bear, I Am Naoto, It's Riley, Knife and Spoon, Criticat MP04, Mr. Clen, Nubus, Ray W, Sergeant Cubby, Super, Storm SSB, Tom Tank, Velvet Puppy, and Zandatsu for being Tier 2 patron supporters.